Hi, I'm Jaynie Fader, and with me is Dr. Michelle Brunson and Professor Michelle Brown, and we also have some ambassadors. We're going to start out with apparel design and merchandising, and I'll go ahead and just introduce the two ambassadors, student ambassadors that are with us from the apparel division, and it's Marissa Watson from merchandising and Lexi Walters from design. Now I'm going to share the screen of the PowerPoint that we're going to be showing you today, and we're going to first start out with apparel design and merchandising. We're in the human sciences and design division department. Quickly, I'll just go through a few of the key things that make our program unique. One thing is we're consistently ranked nationally and internationally over the past decade. We'll talk about the technology, our textiles as we go through the presentation, networking with our apparel professional student organization alumni. We also have a low student to faculty ratio. One of the strengths of the apparel program is that we have an extensive textile science courses and laboratory. You will take 2 courses. There's studio lab courses and an advanced and a beginning textiles course. So you'll leave Baylor with a great textiles foundation. You'll also leave Baylor with a great technology foundation. We're known at Baylor for our technology. We have extensive software for pattern design, fabric design, knits, wovens, printed designs, 3D, 2D software. You would create your own colorways. Here's some fabrics that the student Emily Dawkins created. She created her patterns using the software, and then she printed out the fabric directly on the pattern pieces on our digital textile printer. We're one of the few schools in the nation that have this particular textile printer. We also have 3D body scanning software where you can scan a body and get the measurements. This is used in design, product development, and it's also used in merchandising in some applications. We have 3D and 2D software where you can create an avatar with the measurements and see what the patterns look like on the body. And this is also used in merchandising and design. From our visual merchandising perspective, our visual merchandising classes creates our fashion show along with volunteers, as well as this year we're going to be doing an exhibition where they put on and show the students' work. And this slide shows a few of our projects done by our students through the years, and some they do knits, wovens, outerwear, evening, sportswear, a wide range of products. Now I'm going to introduce Dr. Brunson, and she's going to go through the Europe study abroad and internships.
Yes, so every other summer, we try, of course, the pandemic has not helped the last few years, do a Europe study tour, and also rotate that with going to New York and Montreal. And this is a photo, and I think this one over here was taken at Harrods and Versailles, and then the Eiffel Tower. And if you want to go on to the next slide, and that Europe study tour is about 4 or 5 weeks in the summer, and the students can get 7 hours credit. The New York City Montreal tour usually can get 3 to 4 hours credit, and you can see the photos here. The picture on the right, they were at Eloquy, which was started by one of our graduates who is no longer with the company. It was bought out by Walmart, and she left about a year ago. I was talking to her just last week, but the company's doing really well, and we have a lot of graduates who are there, who are design graduates. Okay. This was a visual merchandising field trip. We went to Kendra Scott Corporate, and that is actually Kendra Scott in the far right picture in the middle. And she's also in the middle of the with the students right here. Talked to this student not too long ago. She's with Coach in New York City. And next slide, please. Also, the students are required to do at least one internship, and I try to go visit the students. These were the New York interns. up until the COVID, I guess 2 summers ago, we've had students who were at Kleinfeld Bridal, the Say Yes to the Dress, also the New York Yankees, and we've had some at the Angels Stadium. And you might be wondering, what would the New York Yankees or Angels or the Dallas Cowboys have to do with that? But the stadiums have around 50 retail stores. And so it's through Legends Hospitality, and they will do either work with buying, planning in the stores, visual merchandising, managing, retail management. And so we had 2 interns there at the New York Yankees. And just a quick little story as far as visual merchandising. They asked these 2 over on the right, they gave them, one day they said, we want you to take this store and see what you can do to visually merchandise it to work better. And they did, and they increased the sales in one night by double, just by what they had learned in visual merchandising. So I was very proud of them. Next slide. These are just some of the places, I just put a bunch of the logos where we've had students either intern and or work after graduation. We had a student who did her internship at Nike in Oregon, and she was offered a job, and she just started that job about 2 months ago. I wanted to ask, we have 2 ambassadors, as Ms. Fader told you, Lexi Walter, who's design, and she did her internship at Love Shack Fancy in New York last summer. So Lexi, would you like to just tell them a little bit about your internship?
Yeah, so hi everybody, my name's Lexi. This summer I was lucky enough to do a technical design internship with Love Shack Fancy. So basically while I was there, I learned how to do pattern making, fittings. I got to sit in on a lot of the different meetings and see like overall how the cycle for each season goes. So basically I would get to see it from the very beginning all the way to the end, and then all of the fittings in between. So basically what I would do is we would get a style in and I would spec it. So I would measure it and then write down all the measurements. And then from there, we would fit it, make adjustments to the garment, and then we would send it back for production so they could send us a new sample and we could refit it. So it was a lot of fun. I learned so much. And it was really awesome because I felt like I was just knew what was going on from all of my classes at Baylor. So we do a lot of Adobe Illustrator work, and I used Adobe all summer and I was totally prepared for that. I knew what was going on. I wasn't confused. Of course, they led me along the way, but I had a really good understanding of what was already going on. So that was really nice. And Dr. B came out and visited me. So that was fun to have her come out and see what I was doing. It was a really great experience. And I also was connected from a previous Baylor student who helped me get in contact with Love Shack. So Baylor's really good about helping you make those connections with people and helping you get into internships. They don't just throw you into it. So it's awesome because you feel totally prepared for it. It's not just like you're thrown out there. So it was a really great experience and I had just the best time there.
Thank you. And it's always nice when you go visit these places and the supervisors can't say enough good things about the students, which they loved you, of course. I also went and visited the corporate office at Academy, which is in Katy, Texas. And we have another student who was in merchandising, Marissa Watson. Marissa, would you like to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I had a really great opportunity of being a buying intern at Academy. And so I was placed in a specific buying office, and I had a manager and a mentor who was an assistant buyer. And she actually was a Baylor grad too. So that was really great to already have that connection and feel like I was already kind of at home with more Baylor people. And so I really got to learn what an assistant buyer does and how to do it. And I feel like really well equipped going into that. And now that I've had that experience going into finding a full-time job, but not only did I get to work alongside my assistant buyer, but I also got the autonomy to do my own project, doing like a space planning thing where it's really cool in the corporate office. They basically have the store in the corporate office and like little departments. And I got to re-merchandise my section based off of sales and aesthetics and just what worked best. And those changes I made are actually going to be put in some stores. So I'm really excited to see that happen. And it's really cool that like the work I did as an intern is going to be put into place and actually affect the business as a whole. So it was a really great opportunity, and Baylor really prepared me and gave me those connections when I got there. And that was just so great. And I'm really grateful that I had that.
Thank you. And also, Marissa was offered a full-time job after graduation with Academy. So very proud about that. So the next slide, I will let Ms. Brown.
Hi, I'm Michelle Brown, and I am the division leader for the interior design. We have 3 interior design ambassadors on today. Amy Dealman, who is a senior, and then Heather Brandon and Tanaka Zinda, who are juniors right now. Go ahead and advance, Jane. Okay. Baylor Interior Design is CETA accredited. It's a Council for Interior Design Accreditation. And so they ensure that we're meeting quality standards that are recognized by the profession. Baylor has small class sizes, so you have a one-on-one attention with your professors. As the students will tell you a little bit later, we prepare you for the real world of design. We also have an internship requirement, typically done between your junior and your senior year. And we also have the study abroad and student organizations that you can be involved with. Next slide. IDAB is our Interior Design Association at Baylor. It is an umbrella organization for the students that involves both ASID, which is the American Society of Interior Design, and IIDA, which is the International Interior Design Association. Students get to be involved with some local conferences, networking, mentoring. We have monthly meetings and guest speakers from the profession that come in. Technology is another big thing with interior design. We have not only the 2D and 3D software programs, but we also have 3D printers, laser cutter, and a CNC router, which is not completely set up yet. But the students, you can see some models that have been 3D printed on the left over here, and then on the right, some that have been cut with the laser cutter. Next. We also do field trips, whether locally or going to Dallas or Austin. Students also are involved with the model making, and you can see some more models with what's there. We also do, the upper corner is showing a wheelchair exercise where they have to go out and actually experience ADA requirements and how they move through. Next slide. These are pictures from the study abroad trip. Interior Design does a 3-week study abroad where you can get credit for your History of Interiors 1. Usually they're in London a week, Paris a week, and then the 3rd location changes from trip to trip with what's there. Go ahead and advance. Okay, internships. Our design majors have a required 240-hour internship. Like I said, they usually do it between their junior and their senior year during the summer. They can do the internship wherever they like, as long as they are supervised by a licensed designer or architect. So they can choose residential, they can choose hospitality, corporate, retail. The options are up to you. These are some of the posters from their presentations at the end of internship this last year. Amy Dealman's online. Amy, if you'd like to say a little bit about your internship.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to work for Austin Design Group, which is a luxury architecture and design firm based out of Austin. And something really wonderful about internship and interior design as a whole is that it's not monotonous, it's not boring. Every day is different. You can be doing elevations 1 hour, renderings the next, floor plans, a site visit all in one day. So it's a really inclusive experience that I felt well prepared for through our program. And it was just a wonderful experience.
Go ahead and the next slide, please. Okay, the next couple of slides are going to have some student work. These are some sketches from the freshman level classes, and I'm going to let Tanaka talk a little bit about that class.
So if you're ever worried about starting off as sketching and not knowing what to do not worry, because Baylor very much prepares you. It teaches you the basics of what you need to do. And quick sketching in general is such a favorite task and a favorite skill to have as you progress in your interior design career. So yeah, it teaches you the basics. You don't have to worry about if you're not particularly good at sketching, which is me. But in the end, I felt like I can definitely quickly sketch and communicate what I need to a professional. So yeah, I was definitely prepared.
Thank you. Next slide. Okay, these are some images showing portfolio review where students are presenting their work. Some of our model building can be seen down here with the construction component. I'm going to let Heather talk a little bit about the digital component.
I think the digital class is probably one of my favorite classes we've taken. We learn a lot of different programs and things, from rendering with Photoshop, mixing that with Adobe InDesign, a lot of just learning how to layer things and use things to your advantage to show exactly what you're trying to portray. I had no idea how to use any of these programs when I first came, but using CAD and SketchUp and Enscape, you really get a comprehensive view of what all you need to know in order to be able to actually do this and present something that you're proud of and something that looks good and ready to go, communicates your design well. It's really an amazing opportunity that we get to go so in depth with a lot of these programs, and it definitely makes you ready for the world.
Next slide. Okay, Baylor's interior design program, when we get the opportunity, we try to incorporate real clients. And so these are some images from the Dr. Pepper Museum project that we did this last year. Actually, the seniors and the juniors got to participate in it. I'm going to let Amy talk a little bit.
This was my first experience with a real client, and it was really fun because Dr. Pepper is special to both me and my dad. And we got to go to the actual site visit, and they wanted to redo their soda fountain area. So having that client experience and then having to present it to the client was really rewarding to see their reaction and getting their feedback. It was a good experience to what we're going to do with our real careers. Yeah.
Next slide, please. Okay, this is another one with the Waco Family Health Center. These students have already graduated, but we did do presentations with the Waco Family Health Center, and we've had a number of projects with them. And part of the senior class right now is also going to be working on a project with them. Next slide. This is an example of a senior capstone. Your very last studio at Baylor is the capstone studio. So you're kind of encompassing everything that you've learned through your time at Baylor. The students get to pick the building. It's a historic building, and they get to research about that in their research methods class. And then they choose either a boutique hotel, a condo with a restaurant, or a senior living facility that they create for that space. Next slide. That kind of finishes up. That's just a picture of one of our senior classes.
Well, all right. I really appreciate you all coming and talking about your classes, your internships, your experiences, your teaching. That was very, very informative. And I hope that all the students that attended this really enjoyed that. But yeah, with that being said, I just want to say thanks again for attending. And if you guys want to go ahead and join another session, you definitely can. I just want to say thank you again to you all for coming and speaking today. I really appreciate your time.
Are there any questions from anybody before we take off?
Okay. Well,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
oh, we do have one question.
Okay.
It says, how do you get involved in study abroad?
It was.
Do you want to answer it first?
For interior design, if it's something that you're interested in, again, like apparel, we do it every other year. And so there'll be flyers up and you'll get information about if that's what you want to do, how to sign up.
Yeah, for apparel, there are interest meetings. She usually has 2 to 3 of them. There are posters around, and then she lets you know during the meetings and sends out information about it. And it's put on the monitors in the building about the meetings, and you just start to put in the loop, and you'll receive emails after that giving you updates. Can you add to it, Rochelle?
Yeah, no, that's about it. What are the class sizes, and do you enter the program as a freshman? That's the really great thing about both interior design and apparel programs. You start taking classes your freshman, the fall year, you're right in there. And the class sizes can vary everywhere from 12 to probably 20. I would say every now and then I'll have 25. What about yours?
Some of our lecture classes are 25 to 30, but the studios will never be larger than 18. If we have larger groups where we have more than 18 students in a class section, we'll divide it and have 2 studio sections.
This semester I actually have a class that's 5, one that's 10, and one that's 15. So that's 5 is usually really, really low. It's usually not that. There's another question. Are there fees for the apparel design program? There are fees for some of the lab studio classes. They vary by the class as far as how much the fee is.
The same goes for interior design.
Mm-hmm. And are you able to double major with apparel design and business? You can. A lot of our students have a business minor, either business administration or entrepreneurship. Do they ever double? I've never had anybody double.
No, because studios, what they found with interior design and apparel design, because of all the studios, it's almost impossible. I think we found with Monica to double major, but to get a minor along with one of those is doable.
Yeah, I would suggest to somebody, I mean, I don't know, tell me if you disagree, but if they wanted to double major, just get a master's in one. By the time you spend the hours for a major in both, you might as well get the benefit of having a master's.
Or minor. I think the minor is what most of them are doing.
Yeah.